Tonight we're going to be talking about really how you can set and achieve any goal you choose. Now, I made you several promises, and no matter where you are in the world, I'm going to keep that promise. And here are the things that I shared with you. I shared with you why I believe that no matter how big your goals are right now, they're too small. They're way too small for most people. Now, I know some of you probably have big, grandiose goals, and congratulations to you. Number two, I want to share with you several of the fundamental errors, mistakes that people make when they're setting their goals and how you can avoid them. Number three, I said that you can learn how to earn 3 to 5 times, maybe 10 times more income in the next 12 months. And what I can share with you is that my journey to learning how to set and achieve goals came around 31 years ago. When I was 19 years old, I quit high school when I was in grade 11. My mother worked at a local department store. We weren't poor. We had food on the table, lots of love, but we never had more than enough. And I was getting myself into an enormous amount of trouble, but I knew that I had something within me that I really wanted to achieve success, but I didn't know how I could until I met one man. And this man's name was Alan Brown, and he was a real estate developer and the owner of several real estate companies in Toronto, Canada. And Alan pulled me aside and asked me a few questions, and I'm going to ask you a couple of those questions today or tonight, depending on where you are. But the first question he asked me was this. He said to me, "Are you interested in becoming a millionaire, or are you committed to really achieving some grand goals and making something worthwhile with your life?" And I asked him this question. I said to him, "Al, what's the difference between whether I'm interested or whether I'm committed?" And he said to me something that stayed with me for 31 years, that hopefully will stay with you for a long time. He said, "The difference between interest and commitment is this." He says, if you're interested in achieving your goals, if you're interested in becoming wealthy, if you're interested in those things, you won't do what it takes. You'll do what's convenient, what's easy, and what everybody else does. He said, however, if you make the decision to be committed, then you will be able to achieve whatever goals you want to achieve no matter what. He says, because you'll learn what you need to learn. You'll rehearse what you need to rehearse. You'll practice, you'll drill, and you'll do everything that is needed to be done in order to achieve success. He said to me that the people who are committed don't have excuses. They relentlessly give up all of the excuses and the reasons why their life or their circumstances are the way they are. They stop blaming other people. They stop blaming all the reasons why and all the references and stories that they have, and they put all of their attention and focus on how they will and how they can achieve their goals. Now, I believe that 3 or 4, maybe 5% of the world's population really knows how to set and achieve goals properly. And I believe that because we've never been taught, that most people hope that they achieve their goals. Now, I often say that most people suffer from a drug disease called hopium. I want you to have big goals, big dreams, but I want you to back it up with a process and a way to achieve those goals and dreams so that it becomes more of a reality than a dream, more of something that's a probability instead of a possibility. So how do you do that? How do you really make the jump, the leap from a goal setter and hoper and dreamer and wisher to somebody who actually is an achiever? Well, one of the first things that Alan Brown said to me was that at the pyramid of your goals, you have to start with absolute precision on exactly what it is you want to achieve. So if you think about your goals as your bullseye, what is going to give you the focus of exactly what you're committed to achieving in the different areas of your life? The reason I want you to be so precise is for two reasons, two reasons. Number one, when you are precise and exact in what you want, you're giving specific instructions to your brain on what to focus on. And we know that people who have learned how to focus on exactly what they want will achieve their goals significantly higher percentages than people who don't have clarity of focus. So how much money do you want to earn in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months, in the next 36 months? What do you want to achieve spiritually? What do you want to achieve in your business or career, specifically and precisely? What are you going to achieve in your relationships? What are you going to achieve in your legacy, your charitable contributions of your time and finances? See, I want you to choose a goal that you've never achieved before. The number one mistake that people make when setting their goals is they look at their present circumstances, like their bank account or the amount of business they have coming in or their job, and they allow all of the present circumstances or their past history to dictate what they can do today, tomorrow, next week, or the future. So mistake number one is do not allow your past or present circumstances to control your thinking or your goal setting part of this process. You cannot do that, because when you look at what you've got, or you look at the economy, you look at the past, and you focus on that, you are neurologically, physiologically, biologically, and everything else you can think of, creating more of the same. So what I want you to do is I want you to set a goal you don't know how to achieve. I want you to set a goal that actually scares you a little bit. How do I know and how do you know when a goal scares you? You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel doubts and fears and maybe even a little anxiety, which means you're out of your comfort zone. That is good, not bad. When I was 19, and Alan Brown had me start with setting my goals for health, wealth, relationships, career, business, charity, etc., I had no idea how I was going to achieve it. I had no idea what I could put down on the piece of paper. But he said to me that just the act of writing down what you want to achieve will send a neurological message to your brain. And if you focus on that every single day, and you walk through the process I'm going to show you in just a moment, you'll be able to get your brain, your emotions, and your body in line with these goals, and then that's when the magic starts to happen. So number one is clarity and precision of exactly, specifically what you want to achieve. And you never, ever, ever allow your old circumstances, your old reality to come into play when you're setting a vision for your future. So that's step number one. Now over here I've got S, T, and P. The S stands for strategies. The T stands for tactics, and the P, okay? P stands for process. Strategies, tactics, and process. Now what does that mean? Every single goal that you want to achieve, no matter what goal it is, there's already a blueprint of what you can do and should do, which are the strategies and tactics. And there's a process by which you can follow. So for example, if you want to lose weight, there is a strategy that you can implement around what you should eat, how much of it you should eat, when you should eat it by. There are tactics that you can utilize every single day in order to accelerate your metabolic rate. There are tactics that you can utilize in order to speed up your weight loss process. By the same token, if you want to earn 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times more income than you're earning right now, you have to A, focus on that, and you have to develop a plan of strategies, tactics, and process. Now, why do I say this? I say this because most people, when I look at their results, and I look at their life, and I look at what they do every single day, every single week, Very few people have got any strategy. And without strategy, you're using hope. And hope, we know, doesn't yield great results. So let me give you some examples of when I was 19. I'm going to take you all the way back to 19, not to now. Well, people think, well, you're doing great now and you make millions of dollars and that's easy for you. But I want to take you back to when I didn't make millions of dollars. All right? I set a goal back when I was 19 to make $30,000 a year. And my strategy selling real estate, okay, was to call 100 people a day. The tactic that I used was to offer them a free home assessment and to offer them, for us to bring our clients to them. And the process that I used was that every day I would cut out the numbers of people who were trying to sell their home privately, or that homes were for sale that had expired with another real estate company, or I would take the telephone, yellow pages, and I would go through name number 1, the name number 2, name number 3, name number 4. So the goal was $30,000 in a year. The strategy was the telephone sales. The tactics was to try and get in the house to introduce our company, introduce our buys there. And the process was 100 calls every single morning between 8:30 and 10:30, 11 o'clock. And so it wasn't a matter of rocket scientists. It was a matter of doing the right things in the right order every single day. And so you have to develop for every one of your goals, how specifically am I going to achieve them? Now, some of you may be thinking, I don't know how. If I knew how, I would do it. And that's not the truth, because you already know how you could be doing things differently. You already know what you could be and should be doing differently, but you're not doing it. That's going to lead us to the second part over here of what is it that you have to develop. So you've got to have your goals, you've got to have your strategies, you've got to have your tactics. So strategies are what you need to do, tactics are how you need to do it, and a process is just a system to follow over and over and over again. Hopefully that makes sense so far. Here is where I see that most people get into a challenging time. They have horrific, terrible habits, and so they don't have the consistency or the right habits or daily rituals of two things. Number one, they don't have the daily rituals of thinking about their goals on a daily basis. Now, you may think about, why does that make any difference? Well, it makes all the difference in the world, because as soon as you develop the habit to focus on what you've written down as a goal, you're creating a neurological pattern, almost a map of your new goal in your brain. And then your brain starts to see things in the physical world that match up with the goal. Most people never write their goals down, and that is problem number 2. That's one of the second biggest mistakes people make. They don't take the time to write it down clearly and precisely, and so they think that they have some goals, or they write it down once or twice, and they never look at it again. That's one of the biggest fundamental mistakes, number 2, that people make. Well, what I found is most people don't have the right daily habits or rituals to achieve the goals that they want. They have hopes and dreams, but they're also locked in a habit loop. And a habit loop is something that you just get accustomed to doing every single day. And one of the things that I can share with you based on the latest neuroscience research is that the habits that you have right now are specifically geared towards helping you achieve everything you've achieved right now. So if you want to break free to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times more income, or a different, weight, or a better relationship, you have to break the habit loop that is causing you to think and behave a certain way. You have to break the habit of being yourself. All of your habits you have garnered and gained over the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And so in order to achieve a different result, you have to break the habits that have got you thinking and behaving the same way every single day, every single week, every single month. Are my habits, the things that I think about, the things that I do every day, moving me towards in a constructive way or moving me backwards in a destructive way compared to the goal that I want to achieve? Part number 4, and this is what we call your beliefs. Now, there's 2 types of beliefs that we have. The first belief that we have is called explicit belief. Now, an explicit belief is a belief that you and I could basically say to each other, I believe I can achieve that. I believe I can make 2 or 3 times more money. I believe I can lose weight. I believe. That's explicit, external. We can declare it, we can talk about it. But what we have found is that this is not the type of belief that drives your habits or your behavior. There's something else called your implicit. Now, your implicit beliefs are what underneath your talking with your friends and telling people what you believe on the surface, your implicit beliefs are underneath the surface. They are what you think about in secret. They're what you think about is true about yourself. Like, am I smart enough? Am I good enough? Do I deserve success? Do I really know what to do? Can I really do this? What if I fail? What if I try my hardest and I fail? See, if you have a belief that you don't deserve success, or if you have a belief that the harder you try, the harder it is, then you're going to have opposing goals and opposing beliefs. So let's say, for all of you people who like the law of attraction, let's say you have a goal of making $100,000. If your goal is to make $100,000, but your belief is that you only deserve to make $50,000, you're going to be out of sync or out of vibration. So if your goal is $100,000 and that's an X-type vibration, and your belief is a $50,000 belief and that's a Y-type vibration, you're going to be out of vibration. Or you're going to have what's known as a chaotic vibration. And they'll basically cancel each other out. Or you'll do a little bit of hard work and then you'll sabotage your success. Or you'll think you can achieve it for a day or two, but then things will happen where it doesn't work as smoothly as you like, and you'll give up hope. Now, when I first started to study what are beliefs, where are beliefs, that's when my life absolutely changed, because what I realized is a belief is nothing more than a pattern. If you think about a software programmer sits at his or her computer and they decide what's the coding that they need to create on the software so that the output in the computer would be consistent with what they want. Well, when we think about beliefs, what you believe about yourself is nothing more than a culmination of what your parents taught you, your teachers taught you, what you've experienced, and what you saw all around you. That means that a pattern in your brain was created, and once that pattern was created and reinforced over time, you started to have habits around those beliefs, and those habits created the strategies and tactics which causes your results. What I want you to do is reverse engineer all of this and change the process. That process is flawed. And so instead of looking at your circumstances, your background, your education, your current beliefs and your current habits and all the evidence you have right now about what you should set as a goal, wipe that slate clean. That's part of your past. That you can use as a hitch, as a way to catapult yourself to the next level. If a belief is nothing more, than a pattern in your brain, why not create the beliefs you need to have in order to achieve those goals? Now, you may say, how should I do that? Well, let me share with you my story again with my mentor, Alan Brown. And what he did with me around the beliefs is every day I sat down on a chair and I would look at my goals. I would look at them and I would actually touch them. I had them laminated. I would touch them and I would imagine in my mind that I was achieving those goals. I was actually looking and feeling as if that was already real. And I started to read all the goals every day. And then I read them with emotion. And then I closed my eyes and I visualized them with emotion. And at the beginning, what I can share with you is there was a tennis match in my own head, saying, that's not true. You're not achieving those goals. You're not smart enough. You didn't go to school. I had all of this negative talk for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I started to behave differently. I started to attract more good things into my life, the tools, the resources, the people, the business, the money. I started to exercise more. I started to take better care of myself. And one good habit developed into many other good habits. When you take on a little goal every day and you achieve it and you win, like just writing your goals down and reviewing it every day, you set up a win response system in your brain. And when you win a little bit, then you tend to want to do a little bit more. And so what Alan Brown did for me that was magical, that'll help you, is he created a habit of consistency. So a little bit every day of the right thinking and a little bit every day of the right behavior starts to create a new belief. You start to see different things in your physical world. You start to feel differently, and more importantly, you start to take actions in ways you've never taken actions before. Now, if you want to earn 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times more income, I know it's possible for you because you wouldn't have that goal and that desire within you if you also didn't have the ability to achieve it. But what I can promise you is you cannot expect, realistically, to set a big goal and not change some of what's holding you back. And what I can share with you what's holding you back is some of your habits suck. They're terrible. Some of you don't believe in yourself, let alone believe that it's possible. And if you want to achieve these goals, see, if you are committed to achieving these goals, then you have to take the next part of this and you've got to discover what your big why is. Why is it important for you to achieve those goals? See, for me, I had several important big whys. Number one, I didn't want to live my life the way I saw my parents live their lives. They were unhappy, miserable, broke most of their lives. Now, I say this to you because for me, I had a big enough why back then. Today, my why is totally different than it was back then. I've got more than enough for myself. Now it's a matter of making a bigger difference in the world and utilizing my life the way God intended me to live my life, and more importantly, to use my talents to help others so that my life has more purpose and meaning. So my big why now is to take my gifts and my talents and share them with the world. What's your big why? And then one of the things that's critical if you want the law of attraction to work is you've got to have coherence. Now, what is coherence? Coherence is where every part of your being, your beliefs, your habits, your why, your strategies, tactics, and your goals are all aligned. When you have coherence between what you want and what you feel and how you vibrate, that is the way to evoke the law of attraction or law of resonance. I promise you that I'd share with you how do you attract the tools, the resources, and the people that you need. It's through coherence. When you set a big goal, when you have a big why and you're enthusiastic, and you have the right plans, and you have the habits and the beliefs, guess what? You're unstoppable. That's when you start to attract everything. See, you don't attract what you need. you attract what you are. No matter what your goal is right now, it's way too small.